Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. I hope everyone's having a great day. So today we're gonna have a little bit different content. So I was up at the gas station earlier and just picking up some smoke, soft drinks, stuff like that, and kind of overhearing some of the conversations going on about this lotto deal that's going on. And apparently it's like really up there. So I mean, it would be really hard to grasp the amount of money this stuff is actually up to at this point. But listening to people talk about what they would be doing if they won it. So in this one, we want you to comment down below what would be the top thing that you would do. And I'm assuming that the first thing that most people would do would be to contact an attorney and develop a legal team on how they could potentially claim their prizes without their names attached to it. And that can be done in a lot of states. They allow you to do what they call a blind estate, which is where you would come in and you would have an LLC set up that actually claims that. But there's a lot of different options out there. But that's the route I myself would go. Now, there's a lot of people that are talking about they would get a Bentley or some kind of a supercar or some crazy stuff like that. And I guess you could do that pretty easy. But the fact is, by the time you hear all the stuff that's going to happen, even with that kind of money, you can go broke if you're not careful. Because one of the things you need to realize is if you took a cash payment on that, or the lump payment, you're going to get about half of what's there. And then on top of that, then you're looking at your taxes. So there'll be an automatic 24% taken out, which is about the standard federal deduction. Now, like if you live in a state like Florida where you don't have a state tax, maybe you have some county taxes you'd have to do, but you don't really have to worry about state tax, but you'd have to understand you're in a higher tax bracket. In fact, that tax bracket is so high that you would technically be, including the 24% they automatically withhold, you'd probably be somewhere around 40 to 42% being held out just to cover your federal taxes and stuff. And a lot of people don't seem to realize that. And they end up spending a bunch of money and they go, well, I've still got half, but that half actually ends up going in taxes and then they end up broke. So that would be one of the things that I would recommend if you do. Make sure you have a good team. They're going to get you situated. You can come in and talk to them about what the purchases are you're going to do. That would be, the wise way to do it. You read these different types of stories where people have won it, and this is why I would say you would want to do it as like a blind trust or something like that, because people have won, and there's been a couple of people that were actually had been murdered after winning the lottery, and a few years after, and what ended up happening is they would make friends with the wrong person who would, one of the cases was up in, I believe it was in Georgia, and a gentleman had won it, and he became friends with the CPA who actually murdered him and buried his body and had a concrete slab poured over the site. And when the family started to realize this guy is not called, hasn't been seen in several years, mind you, they ended up finding out this person had been murdered. So you would have to be very careful about it. I think we'll go over some of the top things that they tell you to do, which is one, make sure that you have a good attorney and CPA set up. And you can look online and find people that specialize in those types of winnings, but you have to be careful as well, because there was a group based out of New Jersey. They apparently had mob ties from back in the day, and they were liquidating hundreds of millions of dollars from their clients, these winners. So you'd have to be careful about that. So make sure you know who you're hiring in that situation. Number two, I guess on that thing, man, make sure you have your taxes taken out. But I would not tell anybody. If you win, don't tell anybody, don't say a word to anybody, don't tell anybody. Make sure all your stuff is structured up and set up and all that stuff. Then if you're doing those gift donations to family members, understand the gifts that you give them, they will need to pay taxes on those as well. There is a one-time love gift that actually exists, which is only like right around $15,000. So when people say, well, no, I want mine tax-free, that's where you say, okay, well, then you will get the tax-free gift, and you're giving them 15 million or 15,000 rather than, a million or something. But so be careful what you ask for, folks. But I think the most important thing is don't tell anybody. Make sure you have legal teams set up, and they say to wait at least 6 months for making any big purchases, which I think most people, the first thing they do is they will buy themselves a house if they don't have a house, things like that. Maybe they need a new car. So those types of purchases is pretty normal. You don't want to come up and just out of the blue be like, oh yeah, I met someone, we're in love, and then get married. I don't think that works quite that way. If you're not finding love now, it's going to be kind of odd that you found it right after you're announced as a winner. So be careful about that type of stuff as well. But I think right now the main thing to tell people is, if you win it, zip the lip, don't say anything. But the last, I think what I was looking at was like $1.05 billion which would be after taxes. If you live in Florida, if you were to win that, you're looking at after tax with a lump sum payout somewhere around 343 million, maybe closer to 400 million. So something to think about. That could really be some life-changing money. The fact is, I've had friends over the years that are like, yeah, if I wanted to give everybody this type of stuff, and it's, I always respond the same way. No, you wouldn't, because the thing is, they see the big number, and then the cash lump is about half, and then they're like, oh, I'm kind of losing out on money, and then after taxes, they're like, oh wow, I'm really losing out on some money. They don't have, as much generosity at that point when you look to watch those numbers come down. So, but be careful. Don't tell people you're going to give them all these different types of gifts or different kinds of lump sums and stuff, because some states those can come up to be a oral agreement as well. And there have been cases where people have made oral agreements with the people at the counter that they buy, and then they find out that they wanted to come in and they push in and want part of the lottery winnings and stuff too. And there are some states where that has actually been upheld and they had to pay. So those are some interesting things. There's been a lot of cases where someone will win, they don't tell their spouse, and then they file for divorce knowing they've won, and try to hide it. And then when it comes up in discovery and stuff, they've actually issued where it would be more than what they would have had to give them if they'd have just been, upfront with it as well. But I think it's important to keep your mouth shut on the situation. Don't change your life around too much. But listen to whatever your legal team would tell you as well. So first thing you do if you win that thing, if you're married and you want to tell your spouse, then yes, definitely, y'all can be planning some stuff, but you need to be looking first thing, legal assistance. Make sure you protect your ticket, lock it away, whatever. Most of the attorneys and stuff are now saying, don't put your name and address on the back of the ticket yet. Because there are a lot of states that allow for you to do what they call a blind trust, which is where you come in and they will open up an LLC where you are the only one that's able to get to the cash. But it is opened up in an LLC. That way, when they release your name in Florida, it's 90 days, unless you want to jump from a news crew. But a lot of states, it's immediately when you come in with a ticket, they release the name and things like that. But if you have an attorney, you can have a representative for your LLC, which would be your attorney. They claim it for you. It goes into your bank account. Your name is not out there. Your address is not out there. So you don't have to deal with people coming to your house with their stories and stuff. And let me tell you, you're going to hear all kinds of sob stories about why they need this and why they need that. And that's where you get into charitable donations that help those types of things. If it really pulls at your heartstrings, say, okay, well, that's great. Don't give somebody a bunch of cash or a bunch of money. What you want to do is you want to make an organization that's going to be a nonprofit organization, which is used for tax write-offs as well. And it's going to help people in those situations. And if you already know about those type of things, then you can say, hey man, you need to call these people. They might be able to help you out, because you need to be aware that not everybody has good intentions on that type of stuff. And just for the record, if I want it, sort of a few people, I'm not giving anybody anything, guys. So that's the way I am. Now, if I'd seen where people needed help or something, that'd be one thing, but I'm not going to get on here. You see these weirdos that say, oh yeah, they're going to give their subscribers. I'm not. So sorry, guys. Everyone have a wonderful day.